Today I'm behind the wheel of a 2022 Ford Bronco, and this one is special because it is equipped with a 7-speed manual transmission. Yes, you could buy a brand new Bronco with 7 speeds and 3 pedals. And this has been a very big success for Ford so far because off-road guys love the gearing, love the control, and they love how it drives on the road. So today I'm going to review this brand new Bronco for you, also go for a drive, see how it is, and compare it to a 10-speed automatic Bronco that I reviewed not too long ago. All right, let's get started. All right, I'm behind the wheel. Let's see how good this brand new Bronco is, and let me tell you more about it. First of all, let me start off by saying I have not reviewed a manual car for a long time. And that's because, unfortunately, every single manufacturer is phasing them out. Before, when I used to review a lot of manual cars, I would say, if you're trying to learn stick, go with a Honda, a Civic, or a Accord, because the clutch is super smooth and forgiving. You basically can't not stall a Honda car, and it's almost that good with this Bronco. This clutch feels so good. It's really good. It's not stiff. It's not too spongy. The catch point is just right. And the stick, you'll always find a gear, and you don't have to just like mash it or anything. It's very gentle. You could do it with just 3 fingers. I mean, it's just nice. It's nice. Ford did a really good job with this combination. Now, as for gearing, Ford definitely geared this Bronco differently with the 7-speed versus the 10-speed automatic. Now, I just reviewed a 10-speed automatic Bronco, and I thought Ford did a really good job with it. 10 speeds traditionally hunt for gears too much, and it bogs down the car, especially at low speeds, right? But Ford did a good job tuning that 10-speed. Now, this one, on the other hand, you have full control, right? You want a little more power? Well, just don't upshift. It's that simple. So you can't you can't go wrong with it. And overall, like around town, I'm just going in 4th gear. I'm not even going 5 or 6. I like this power band. I'm going at 40 miles per hour, and it's about 1900 RPM. And to me, it feels just right. Right now, it's hard to find a Bronco, period, especially one that's not marked up. But to find a manual Bronco on the dealership lot is near impossible. Although you can order one, you just have to wait a while before it arrives. Now, there are a couple of things you need to be aware if you do select a manual. First of all, you can only get the base engine, the 2.3-liter EcoBoost engine, and the numbers are respectable. 300 horsepower, 325 pound-feet of torque. Now, versus the 2.7 V6, the horsepower is only down about 30, so it's not that big of a deal, but the torque is down by a full 90 pound-feet of torque. I definitely feel the difference in power, so you may be wondering, like if you're shopping for a Bronco, whether or not you really need to opt for the 2.7 versus the 2.3. I will say that 2.7 is much more enjoyable to drive, much more torque. But if you wanted to get a manual, unfortunately, you don't have the option. You have to go with the 2.3. This one that I'm driving is the Black Diamond. So it's about mid-trim. It is not the top trim. You can opt for the Sasquatch package, but this one does not. This one comes standard with 32-inch all-terrain tires, and it comes with black steel wheels. Unfortunately, if you look at a 32-inch all-terrain tires, even though they look big, very aggressive, next to any other SUV, they look much bigger, but on a Bronco, they just don't look big enough. It just doesn't look aggressive enough. So for me, I would definitely get a Bronco with the Sasquatch package. The body itself is about as good as it can be. What do I mean by that? In terms of off-road SUV, this is a very masculine looking SUV. It looks very different. It doesn't look like a Wrangler, and that's a good thing because we have seen enough Wranglers out there. The Bronco looks different, completely different, and it's much bigger than you think. The presence is enormous. It's very big. In pictures, they look about the same size as everything else, but walk up to a Bronco, you'll see it's tall, it's wide, it's long, especially the four-door. The four-door is actually quite big. And this one is actually very tall too. Now the ground clearance is enormous, a little bit less than 12 inches, but getting in isn't too bad. With the Sasquatch package that I tested, it was difficult to get in. This one I could get in and it's okay, but definitely higher than a normal SUV, and I'm about 5'10". So if you're on the shorter side, you're gonna have problems. If you're on the taller side, no problems at all. This Black Diamond also does not come with side steps. It comes with these rock guards, which is kind of tuck in, right? But of course, if you wanted to put side steps on there, you can. It's no problem. Now, something else I'm observing with the 2.3 versus 2.7 is the exhaust note. They're very, very, very different. The 2.7, even though it's a V6, the exhaust note was beautiful. I don't know what Ford did, but they really, really made the exhaust sound beautiful, like a V8 almost. But this 2.3 sounds like a four-banger, and there's just nothing you can do. It doesn't sound very pleasing, especially when you're revving high. It really doesn't sound pleasing. So there's a big difference there. Now, something else I'm noticing with this Black Diamond is the sound installation isn't very good. Obviously, with the Bronco, everything is configurable. So the top right now is a hard top, and of course, you can remove everything. And because of that, it's a little bit windy in here. It's a little bit windy, so you can hear wind creep in, and there's more road noise, and there's more noise from the outside overall. The last Bronco I tested was a two-door. This is a four-door, and I gotta say, if I was buying a Bronco, which I'm really thinking about, I would go with the four-door. It's just a lot more practical. In terms of trunk space, it's just bigger. When you open up the trunk, it's a two-step process. There's just a lot of room behind the second row. And you can fold down the second row and generate more cargo room. The seats aren't exactly flat. There's about like a 2-3 inch difference, but you just get a lot more room. In a two-door, it's not bad. There is actually a lot more room than you think, but the four-door is just bigger. And of course, getting into the second row is just really, really easy. You have two more doors. And when you get inside, the space isn't bad. I mentioned I'm 5'10", so I still have about 3-4 inches of legroom left, and also about 3 to 4 inches of headroom. So overall size, pretty good, pretty good. And passengers in the rear, you don't get a whole lot. You don't get a whole lot. You do get some window switches, okay? And you get some USB ports, and that's about it. And they're in a centralized location because Ford didn't want to put them on the doors in case you want to remove the doors. So they're trying to remove all the electronics as much as possible. And it's the same thing up front. Window switches, right? They're in the center console. They're not on the doors themselves. So you just have to get used to that. And by the way, if you look inside, the seats are covered in a vinyl material. They almost feel like leather, but they're vinyl on purpose because they're very easy to clean. If they're dirty, you just, wipe it off, or you can even spray some water because this Black Diamond comes with special rubberized mats below, and they're covered all around. So if you think you can just throw on some rubber mats and it'll be the same, it's not. It's fully insulated from all sides, and there are drain plugs too. So if you do happen to just spray the inside, right, you could drain it out very, very easily, unlike any other weather mats or rubber mats that you put underneath. Everything else is also covered in rubber. The buttons on the steering wheel is rubberized. Buttons on the dash is rubberized. Everything in the center console is basically rubberized or waterproofed, right? So Ford definitely thought about that. Now, as I'm coming to a stop, the brakes are normal and they're good. The pedal feels right. There's a good linear stopping power, and there's not a whole lot of body roll like big SUVs, so brakes are good. Now, as for visibility, very good all around. Because of how high you're sitting, you're almost as high as a full-size truck when you're in a Bronco. You have a very commanding view. Very commanding view. You're looking down on everyone. and you're sitting very high up in the cabin too. So looking past the hood, no problems at all. Big windows. The door panels are actually kind of lower, so no problems looking out the sides. The rear too. The C-pillar is a little bit big, but overall isn't too bad. So visibility and driving position, I would say, is really good inside a Bronco. Now, what else do you get with the Black Diamond? Well, some off-road goodies. First of all, the front and rear bumpers, they are steel, so that does help protect the front end and rear. Also, you get a lot of skid plates that protect underneath, so that obviously is very important when you go off-road. Also, you do get aux switches inside, which makes it easier if you're trying to configure your Bronco with aftermarket stuff. So you do get 6 aux switches up here. This Black Diamond is also configured with GOAT modes. There's 7 different ones. So you do have the standard normal, eco, and sport, but you also have slippery, you have mud and rut, also sand, and finally rock climbing. So it really depends on what you're looking to do. Pretty much the GOAT mode will help you do whatever you want. The seats are very comfortable, besides being covered in a vinyl material, but the cushion itself, very wide, big, supportive, and it just feels good. And I don't have to adjust it much. It's just in a really good position right off the bat. So that's for the front seats and the rear seats. Rear seats are pretty comfortable too. Now, as for technology, you do get 2 giant screens. The infotainment system is running Sync 4, and you have a large 8-inch touchscreen, and it's pretty responsive. The GUI, the responsiveness is pretty good, among the best for Fords. And you get Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, those things are standard, so it's nice. And inside your gauge cluster, you also get 1 big screen too. And this is a little bit more configurable, so you do see all your normal stuff like trip computer and fuel economy and stuff, but there's also off-road stuff like gauges, your pitch and roll, power delivery, 4-wheel drive setup. So there are more things you could see, but between the two, you get plenty of information. Other things that you get inside this Black Diamond, you do get electronic locking rear differential, which is of course really good, especially if you go off-road. Also, you do get climate control, but unfortunately it is manual, it's not auto, so you do have to adjust the temperature and fan speed yourself, and you get a few more USB ports. Now, because this Bronco comes with windows that's frameless, kind of like sports cars, whenever you open the handle, it's supposed to come down a little bit, and whenever it closes, it seals back up. But with this Bronco, unfortunately, it comes down a little bit too slow, or the weather seal is a little bit too thick. So every time I open and pull the door, the window gets stuck and then it flops around. It hits the weather seal, and then it just doesn't feel or sound right. It sounds like something's wrong. And that happens every single time you open the door. Every single time. Ford did something wrong where either the weather seal is misplaced or the window doesn't slide down fast enough, but it's across every single door. So I think that's how it's designed. So unfortunately, I think that's a miss by Ford. Now, one other thing that I don't like is the safety features, the driver assistant features, which you don't get a whole lot. Inside this Black Diamond, you do get pre-collision assist, you get warning and braking, so that's if you're about to smash into something. That's it. Only other thing is rear camera, and that's mandatory, and hill start assist. You don't get blind spot monitoring, you don't get lane assist or lane warning, rear collision, cross traffic alert, anything like that, you don't get. So unfortunately, you don't get the complete suite. Most manufacturers these days is just bundling, giving you everything. But inside a Bronco, unless you opt for the top Wild Track, you're gonna have to pay for extra features. Now, to conclude, I love the brand new Bronco. I think Ford did an excellent job. I love the way it looks. I think inside, even though it's very basic, it's very utilitarian, things are placed well, and this is how the inside of a manual SUV should look. I like the technology, I like the dual screens, I like how the Sync 4 system works a lot better than the Sync 3 system. I think it's a huge upgrade. Also, I like the off-road features this Bronco offers, including the suspension, the tires, which does look aggressive, just unfortunately not big enough in my opinion. But you do get the GOAT modes, also four-wheel drive, and you get the locking rear differential. So those are all very, very nice. And what's innovative is the rubber mat setup, how everything is covered up, and you get drain holes everywhere so that you can just spray things off and just let it drain out. So I do love those things as well. Also, I do love the 4-door more than the 2-door because I think it's just a lot more useful and practical. It's a little bit bigger in size, but that's a good thing for day-to-day, especially trunk space, getting in and out of the second row. So I do like the 4-door better. Now, as for pricing, this Black Diamond comes in right under $40,000. And this comes with all the things I've mentioned. It's about mid-grade. If you go up, obviously you could get as high as $50,000 with the Wild Track. So this is slightly under. And you do get a lot, but you don't get everything. And in my opinion, it's missing those massive tires from the Sasquatch package, which I definitely recommend. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Smash up the like, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for my future review videos. Take care. Bye-bye.